Hi, I'm Konstantin Baum, Master of Wine, and it's time to answer one of the wine world's biggest questions. Is it possible to taste the difference between a wine sold by a discounter like Aldi and a wine sold by a specialist retailer? I'm going to taste 7 wines blind that are either from Aldi or from a specialist, but they are all in the same price category, between $5 and $10. Will I know which one is which, or will I crash and burn? Let's find out. There's a fierce competition going on between discounters that focus on price and specialists that focus on service. Due to their size, price points, wine knowledge and reputation, wine quality has often been lacking amongst discounters. It is difficult to get very good wine at a very large scale, so there often wasn't enough of the good stuff available in order to fill the shelves of thousands of shops. For a long time it was a taboo for highly regarded wine brands to sell your wines at Aldi. Your wines would have been delisted from wine shops and restaurants, and your reputation would have been severely damaged. This has changed in the last years as more and more well-known wineries are working with discounters. Discounters are now selling more expensive wines, and wineries that were formerly only available in high-end wine shops now create second labels for the discount segment. On top of that, discounters have invested more into quality control and have brought in wine expertise from masters of wine and sommelier consultants. So I'm guessing that this tasting is not going to be that easy because the lines are slightly blurred. Nevertheless, I asked Leon to pick some wines at Aldi, one of the biggest discounters in the world, and at a specialist retailer. I know that they are all in the 5 to 10 euro or US dollar category in Germany, but that's all I know, so let the blind tasting begin. So let's start off with wine number 1. A white wine. This is going to be challenging because you can't really smell or taste whether a wine was on a shelf in a discount store or at a specialist retailer, but you can taste whether a wine was made in mass volumes or whether it was made for the mass audience, which is more, well, what the discounters are carrying, as opposed to wines that are more for a niche segment of the market. But obviously there are also specialist retailers that sell wines that are mass compatible. So this is going to be a challenge. So for me, this smells like a very simple, very fruit-driven, but well-made white wine that is pretty mass compatible. It smells of apples, a little bit of pears, a little artificial even. On the palate, it's juicy. There's some freshness and acidity there, but it's not, it's nothing extraordinary. There's not great length there. I would rate it 80 points, so it's in the good category in my world. I would say this smells and tastes like a Grauburgunder maybe, or it could also be something like a Lugana, which is Trebbiano, so a different grape variety entirely, but a very common, very popular wine style in Germany right now. So I'm going to say this is a Lugana, and I'm going to say this is from Aldi, even though it could just as well be from a specialist. So it's a bit of a toss-up, but I'm going for Aldi in this case. And well, yeah, it's in the 5 to 10 euro category. And I think at that price point, it's actually a pretty good wine. So if you like this style, then go and seek it out at Aldi. Get yourself a carton or whatever you buy at Aldi. So let's have a look. It is a Lugana, and it's from Aldi, because it says A at the back. So, you know why I didn't score this wine higher is the fact that it is quite aggressive on the finish. Yeah, it doesn't have great balance, but it's decent. So on to wine number 2, which is again a white wine. Wine number 2 is less aromatic, less expressive. So it's a little bit, well, you have flavors of apple. You also have flavors of hay and nuts, so it's a little bit, there's a little bit of a mix of different flavors coming through. It's not just fruit driven. On the palate, it's actually surprisingly rich and juicy and concentrated, so it's not super powerful, but I thought, just smelling it, I thought it would be a slightly lighter a more acidic wine style. So this clearly isn't an aromatic grape variety. It could be Chardonnay, it could be Chenin Blanc, it could be Pinot Blanc. I think I'm going to rule out Chardonnay. I don't think it has the aromatic profile of Chenin, so it doesn't have the waxiness and wooliness that I usually get from Chenin Blanc. So for me, this is more Pinot Blanc. It could also be Pinot Gris. So I'm going to say this is a Weißburgunder from Baden. But the big question is actually, where was it sold? Is it from the discount or a specialist retailer? And this is tough. Well, I think that this is less mass compatible. So it's not super fruity or very easy to understand. It's a little bit more complex, has a little bit more depth. It's also really well made. I mean, the texture is quite velvety, so doesn't have the harshness of the previous wine. I would therefore rate this 84 points. I'm just going to say that this is from the specialist. A little bit more quality, maybe a little low scale winemaking. But yeah, I'm kind of in the dark here. This is a difficult tasting, man. There was a time when I just had to identify grape varieties or origins, and now I have to say where the wine was sold. But anyways, let's have a look. Yes! Oh man, I'm on fire. So this is from a specialist. This is Dr. Hinkel, Framersheimer, Kreuzweg, Weißburgunder, Feinherb from Rheinhessen. So the richness in the texture is actually the sweetness, which kind of, passed me by a little bit. It's 11% alcohol, so it's actually fairly low in alcohol. And it's not from Baden, it's from Rheinhessen, which is a little bit further up north. But it's, not all that far away. And it's a good wine. Even though, I gotta be honest, I don't drink a lot of off-dry Weißburgunder. But this is pretty good. So let's pour wine number 3, which is again a white wine. Okay, I gotta be honest, I don't really like this wine. It feels a little bit disjointed. It's definitely an aromatic grape variety. This could be Riesling, this could be Sauvignon Blanc. On the nose, you get this peachy aroma. There's a little bit of apple there as well, but it's quite one-dimensional. On the palate, it's quite juicy. There's a little bit of sugar. There's some acidity there, but it just doesn't feel very well integrated. For me, this is pretty average, and average in the 100-point scale is in the 70s. So I would rate this 73 points. And what is it? I don't know. It's maybe a Riesling, but not a good wine. And I hope this is not sold by a specialist retailer, but there's some bad specialist retailers around as well. I'm going to say this is discount quality, probably at the lower end of the category range. So at the €5 mark. Let's have a look. The bottle shape kind of helps a little bit here, but it is Riesling. It is from Aldi, and it retails for €6 or $6. It's pretty much the same nowadays. And it's from the Mare region. It says seasonal grape harvest. I don't know what that means, because every grape harvest is seasonal, isn't it? Yeah, I'm not a fan. I'm sorry. Next up, wine number 4. Oh, rosé. Is that good or bad? I don't know, but it's rosé. So this rosé smells of strawberries, but it also has yogurt and slightly unfinished flavors. So it feels very young. And I'm not really sure whether it's ever going to be harmonious. So on the palate, it feels a little bit grippy, acidic, rough. So it's kind of, a challenging rosé style. It feels like more mass-produced wine. So that kind of points me more towards Aldi than specialist retail. And style-wise, I would say this feels like a Provençal rosé from the Provence. The color is fairly light. You have the salmon hue there. And also the typicity of the grape varieties feels more like like the Provence than most other places in the world. So I'm going to rate this 75 points, and I just don't really feel this rosé. I don't think I would be drinking this somewhere on the terrace, especially in autumn. And my guess is this is an Aldi product, but let's have a look. Spot on. So this is actually at the very low end of the scale, €5 or $4.99, and it's Aldi Coteaux d'Aix-en-Provence. It got an 88-point rating by one of the wine magazines. I don't really see that, but anyways, not so exciting. So we're on to wine number 5, and maybe this is another rosé, but it looks very much like a red wine. So this is a really solid wine. It smells of blackberries, black olives. It smells a little bit of spice. You have some rough and wild flavors coming through as well. On the palate, it's rich and concentrated. There's good tannins there. There's also good acidity. So this is a wine that, if it is from the 5 to 10 euro category, is pretty good value. The flavors pretty much directly point me to one region, which is the Rhône. I think this is a Syrah-based wine, or at least Syrah has quite a lot of dominance in this blend. And as it is in that price category, it probably is a Côte du Rhône. And Côte du Rhône is such a great wine when it comes to value. It's amazing how many really, really good wines are sold at really low prices in this Côte du Rhône appellation. I also would recommend this wine. I don't think it's the best Côte du Rhône I've ever tasted, but I would rate it 88 points. I think it's pretty good stuff, and I'd say it's from a specialist. Let's have a look. Oh, I know the neck label, so let's see what the rest reveals. Yeah, so this is from a specialist. It's Paul Jaboulet Anise Côte du Rhône from the 2019 vintage. It retails for €8 or $8, which is a pretty fair price. And it's good stuff. Good stuff. Jaboulet is one of the most well-known houses in the Rhône. They're producing some of the best wines, and they're also producing really solid entry-level wines like this one. I'm not really sure whether this tasting is going to get any better than this, but let's find out. Wine number 6, all up in the mix. Sorry. Oh, this is certainly quite a bit lighter than the previous wine. It looks almost pale. I can see my fingers through that. So this is a really strange wine. It's very pale in color. The fruit flavor is very pronounced. It's almost artificial. So you have like almost gummy bear character fruits in there. And on the palate, it's really, there's not much going on. There's very little tannins. The acidity isn't very pronounced. When it comes to pale-colored red grape varieties, I often go for Pinot Noir or Grenache. There's sometimes a Nebbiolo there as well, but I don't think this is any of those grape varieties. I'm actually going to say that this is a Vernaccia from the north of Italy, and I think, it's a well-made wine, but I don't think it's very profound. It's a bit boring, really. I would rate this 78 points, and I'm going to say this is from the discounter. So I was really wrong here. So this is a Bardolino from Italy. It retails for $6.50, and it's from a specialist. So yeah, could this have been sold by the discount? I guess so, but on the other hand, after reflecting upon it, I gotta say this is maybe such a special taste that it wouldn't work in a discounter because, well, if people buy a red wine, they expect it to be rich, red, dark colored and intense, and this is just not it. So specialists might be able to explain that wine a little bit more before people buy it and are disappointed that they're not getting what they've paid for. So wine number 7. is definitely darker than wine number 6. The contrast couldn't be more stark between wine number 6 and wine number 7. This is super concentrated, super rich, very intense flavors. There's lots of oaky flavors coming through, coconuts, blackberries, raisins. There's just everything there. And then the tannins are really intense. There's also some acidity there. Yeah, so it's quite different. Because of the really rich fruit character, and especially because of the American oak character, the vanilla, the coconut flavor that are coming through here, plus the slightly rough, rustic texture, the tannins are a little bit harsh. I actually think that this is from the Iberian Peninsula. I'd probably go to Spain. I think it could be from La Mancha, for example. It could be from Rioja, even though I think the color and the concentration is just a bit too high here. Could also be from further down south. It is just over-extracted, overly concentrated. I don't really enjoy this. This is just a bit too much of everything. I'm going to rate this 75 points. This feels like all the elements were there, but it was just made in too much haste or in just not the right way. So I'm going to say this is from a discounter again, but there are lots of wines that specialists sell as well that taste like that. I mean, this oak and ripe fruit character, that's something that appeals to a lot of people. So specialists carry that as well, but I'm just going to say this is another discount wine. Let's check it out. Finca Sobreno, Toro. So yeah, it's from Spain. It's from Aldi and it retails for €7. So a win for me to finish this off. I gotta say, this was one of the most difficult tastings I've done on this channel, and that's because the lines are blurred. There are not so many differences between the wines sold at Aldi and the wines sold in specialist retailers when you look at the same price category. I think Aldi has done quite a lot, and other discounters as well, done quite a lot in order to improve the quality, and especially at the lower end, they are doing really well today. And specialists, I mean, they're good and bad specialists. So there are some that also find really great wines in this difficult category, and there are some that don't. So I think it's not an easy comparison, and I think it's not necessarily something that I would be reliably able to pick out in a blind tasting. But nevertheless, I managed to get through it, and my favorite wine of the tasting was definitely this wine sold by a specialist for whatever it's worth. I think this is definitely something worth drinking. I'm not too sure about the other ones. They didn't really excite me, so I won't be drinking them over dinner tonight. This one I will. One more thing before I wrap it up. I noticed there are sometimes quite a lot of spam comments below my videos, bots that promise you all kinds of crazy gifts and use my name. Don't send them any money, and please do report them. Make sure that they get stopped. I'm trying to stop them as well. It's really annoying, and I don't really know why YouTube doesn't get on top of that. But anyways, please help me stop those guys and don't pay them anything. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, then please like it down here. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. My question of the day is, what do you think? Will Aldi and the other discounters ever be able to outcompete specialists in terms of quality? Let me know your thoughts. Comment down below. I hope I see you guys again soon. Until then, stay thirsty.